Hello, welcome to the Boys 18 and Under Division One selection show for Nationals 2024. This field is going to be a field of 24, and it's going to start in pool play. So you're going to hear a lot of conversation about the pools, how were they created, what does the seeding process look like, what is the potential tiebreakers. All of those things are to come shortly. We know some of the top seeds. We know seeds 1 and 2, but you don't know the pools yet. So we're excited to release those and show everybody those. My name is Paul Gilmore alongside Rob Flatt and Jeremy Caldwell. We're excited to kick off this field of 24 selection show for the boys 18 under.
Yes, absolutely. And if anyone has any complaints or anything nice to say about the seating director at nchclive.com, that is who you email. And that is Mr. Jeremy Caldwell down here. And thrilled to, I think it's almost a nightly deal for Jeremy and I. We spend way too many hours on the phone going through the seating. And we just recently figured out we could be doing Zoom calls instead. So I'm not sure if I'm not sure if that's a better fit or not, because sometimes we have some heated conversations as we work through it. But let's get right to it. I think a lot of people understand this format because this format was voted on by the coaches over the summer, and we had a great participation. I think we had something along the lines of like 24 of the 25 top teams actually participated in the voting. And I think something like 30 of the top 32 teams had their head coach actually vote, or athletic director vote, to help us find this format. You'll see 6 to 7 games. That will be a first for Nationals. No one's ever played 7 games at Nationals that in the 32 years that I'm aware of. If they did, it had to have been before my first 26 or 27 national tournaments. So it would have been in the very, very early years. So let's break it down. 4 Division 1A gold balls, 1 Division 1B gold ball, and also every gold ball has a silver ball to match. And there will be a bronze ball winner for both Division 1A and Division 1B. There will not be a reseed. That is very important. We will probably mention that more than once on this show, because last year we did a lot of reseeding. In fact, as Paul was mentioning, Jeremy would do the broadcast and then go back on some of the nights that we were doing the reseed and get very little sleep and then be back at the broadcast. So we're definitely fixed that. And this year, Paul's going to be doing the live stream broadcast schedule. So he's going to make sure that no one does 7 to 11 games in a row. And yes, I'm looking at you, Mr. Caldwell. But no reseed this year. All advancements will be posted in the brackets before events start, and we will cover much of that in tonight's show here. Monday, the seeding pools. Again, a first for Nationals. We stole this from Volleyball Nationals, our 143-team Volleyball National Championships in Lawrence, Kansas. We do non-elimination pools there for gold balls. And what that just simply means is that nobody will be eliminated from a gold ball after the pools. So Monday, there will be double headers. All 24 of these games, big announcement, all 24 of these games will be played on an NCHBC 2024 feature court, and all 24 will be live streamed on the NCHBC HomeSchool Athletics YouTube channel. It's going to be complete with multiple broadcasters. We really couldn't be more excited about this. And the fact of the matter is, Varsity Boys Division 1 will be the only games on the live stream broadcast on Monday. And part of that factor was the way that we're going to do the pools. We'll break that down. And also, we felt like these were the games. If you remember last year, the varsity girls had some really wild finishes with the pools. And with the varsity girls this year being brackets, Division 2 boys being brackets, and for boys 18U, this is really the one age group that we felt like we needed to be able to have our eyes on as a staff, even if we're not at the facility, because you're going to have scenarios that are going to be playing out, potentially tiebreakers that we'll be able to have already spelt out for our broadcast team before they even get to the final 4 games of the day for each court. And so our feature court this year, Drury University O'Reilly Family Center, just like last year, and then bringing in Ozarks High School main gym. This is we haven't used Ozark in a few years, or quite a few years, but we've had a great relationship in the past, and they have both a wonderful main gym and an auxiliary gym. Both are high school courts, and we're really excited to be using Ozarks High School this year. We will be playing 8 a.m. early games for Varsity Boys Division One. There'll be an 8 a.m., a 9 a.m., a 10:05, and an 11:10 to kick off the day. We'll be covering. We'll give you a little bit more idea on who's going to be playing those games as we continue on. But it will be wall-to-wall coverage at both locations. You want to talk about a central hub? Monday and Tuesday will be absolutely be a central hub for Varsity Boys Division One teams. This is going to be phenomenal for college coaches who want to watch. We had talked about with CJ about possibly having him on this broadcast here, but we've got the maximum number of people that we can have on our current account setup. But if CJ was here, what he would be stressing is that a lot of the college coaches, one of the formats we looked at for this year for how we would play this out on Monday was we could have done 8 different game times throughout on 8 different courts, and we could have done them, let's say noon, 4:15, and then 9:15. We could have done something along those lines, but that would limit college coaches that want to scout down to just 3 Division One boys 18U games for the day. They would have to pick 3. And one of the things that we've heard from the college coaches over the years is that they really enjoy being able to watch more than just a couple games in the age group that they're coming out to watch. And so that's a big change that we're making. And we've got the All-American watch list that we've been doing. CJ and Paul and Jeremy have been doing a great job. CJ with the idea and a lot of the execution and the writing up of the All-American watch list players. And so this is going to really create an opportunity for those that want to watch those players, want to see what the next level is going to look like, or for the college coaches, the opportunity, whether it's scouting at home from a broadcast situation or from doing it from live from Springfield. And so we're really excited about this. Tuesday was another situation. Jeremy, Zach, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how do we make sure that those 8 teams, those 8 games. So Tuesday a.m., we'll break it down a little bit further. The 8 pool winners, they're going to advance to Division One. The Division 1A, they're in it. They have a shot to win a gold ball and stay alive for the undisputed national championship. The Tuesday p.m., so that's going to be played on Tuesday p.m. Each of the pool runners up and the third place pool finishers are going to have the opportunity to still qualify for Division 1A gold ball games and gold ball semifinals, but they're going to have to win their morning game on Tuesday. And so what we did this year is we actually set it up so all 8 of those games will be on a national live stream broadcast in a feature court. In order to do that, once again, there will be 8 a.m. games, 9 a.m., 10:05, and 11:10 games. Those will be the 4 game times on the 2 courts that we're at. And so it's going to be a little different, or a big difference than our typical structure there, but we're really excited about these games. All 8 of these games, as we said, will be on the broadcast, but in all 8 of the teams that lose will move to a Division 1B gold ball bracket. It will be played 1st through 8th, Wednesday through Friday. So if the teams that don't qualify for Division 1A, there's still something to play for, a lot to play for, and it's going to be a loaded bracket. And so we'll get a little bit more about the rest of the week. But before we do, I just want to kick it over to Mr. Caldwell to talk about some of your favorite things to talk about, the seating and the pools.
Seating. Yes, as you can see here, the 2014 format. This is the teams that made D1. And first of all, congratulations to all 24 of you. I know it was well-deserved and hard-earned. And just looking at this real quick, PT Warriors pops out at me because, they come into regionals. And if you were paying attention to the social media on Thursday of regionals, there was a post that went out Thursday night. And it let everybody know who had already qualified and who was on the ropes. And PT was one of those teams. And they, after losing both games on Thursday in their pool play, they had to win the next 2 games to qualify. And they did just that. and the second game, actually, they beat Aggieland Panthers by 1 point to make it into D1. So, their coaches were telling us they just needed a chance. Last year they struggled at regionals as well, made it to D1, ended up coming out of their pool and playing MHEA for the Undisputed Championship. So even if you just sneak in, you're still in and you get a chance. So of these 24 teams, man, it's a loaded field. There's a lot of different states represented here as well. I know one team a lot of people are going to be interested in is the HHBA Lightning out of Virginia. They made a good little showing down there in the Midwest. I believe that was a last second shot to win the Midwest, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah,
I think that little video has a few views on it through the YouTube channel there. So people's probably definitely going to be reaching out trying to watch them play, as they made the headlines through regionals. So you got the Dash Spartans. They've been there before. HSAA. They may end up making it to the Big South Regional Championship against MHEA. And the Benton Bucks over in the Midwest. They're one of the 3 seeds, CHSA Wolverines. They're actually the 16U undisputed from last year. Some of their guys have moved up. They're playing in 18U this year. And Houston Raiders. People remember them coming in last year at Nationals playing with 5 players. Played all the way through. Mid-South Mustangs out of Tennessee coming in from the Southeast. Texas Lions. That's going to be a good matchup for someone who whatever pool they get put in. And then you look at the 2 seeds, you got LKY out of Kentucky. They went into the Midwest. They had a player that got injured before the regional. They thought it was season ending. And then come to find out after the MRI, after the results, whatever, it wasn't season ending. He's able to play again. So they're probably ready to make some noise. KC Lions, Northside Lions, Fort Wayne Hawks, San Antonio Patriots. They've won a few tournaments this year. They've won I believe they won district. They've won another couple other tournaments in Houston area. You got Tyler Heat coming out of the Gulf Coast, representing the Gulf Coast again. They won the Gulf Coast district, coming into the Big South. They finished 5th place. So the good thing here is you can see the finish and the region that they played in. So it gives you a good idea of what you're competing against. And then the number 1 seeds has your 4 regional champions, with the MHEA being the 3-time defending champ, trying to, return to glory once again. The Tennessee Heat winning the Southeast Regional. HHBA we talked about already, winning the Midwest, and then the Springfield Rush, the hometown team there, winning the Heartland. So they're coming in and playing against the 2 seeds. And Dash Spartans are the lone 3rd place finisher from their region. And that was they gave MHEA all they had whenever they matched up in the semis at the Big South. That was a very competitive game. Dash took them to the wire for 3 straight quarters. Man, that crowd was packed. I don't know if you remember that, Paul, but that whole court around there, you couldn't hardly get in to see that court. So it's if it's like that at regionals, I can't imagine what it's going to be like here at nationals.
Well, that's quite a field, and got HEA there. I know they played in front of a packed crowd there for the HHBA game for that Midwest Championship. You mentioned a few views. I think the last I saw was 142,000 views on Facebook alone for that buzzer beater. And then, of course, on the YouTube channel, I think we've got 600, 500 views on the 2 respectively, or 600 and 400. And we're not even counting Instagram or Twitter there. So that one video has definitely gone viral by our terms. I don't know what the official terms of viral are, but we're going to count it that. And then you mentioned HSAA, always a tough team. Great run. It just seems like they're getting better and better. The district result, they're building on that off the regional result. And if things keep going, the next step's it's a gold ball game. The St. Louis Blue Knights last year won the Southeast region, made a trip all the way to the Final Four. And if you remember that game against the PT Warriors, if I remember right, they led for 3 quarters until the PT Warriors just found that slight edge. I mean, it was no one had found any sort of edge over St. Louis, but Isaac Aguilar and Toby Pike both just had an outstanding national championships last year. And I could see why Coach Aguilar just wanted to get up there, just to have a shot in D1. If they could get there, he'd believe in his team. So you mentioned some of these 3 seeds. I just want to point out, Houston Raiders, I think they're a 3rd-year program. You've got the Texas Lions in their first year, Mid-South Mustangs in their first year. Texas Lions are out of the Austin area. Mid-South are out of the Memphis area. And both those teams, that's not an easy feat. There's a lot of teams that are in Division II, long-standing teams, the Final Four team from last year, a top 6 team from last year, Division II champion when Division II was only 17th place, Division II runner-up. All these teams that are right there in Division II that wanted there. There's some teams that finished 1 point shy in their 5th place game in the Heartland Regional Championship that just missed out on this. And so many teams that wanted in. So it's great to see the new organizations that are able to make that next step and do it the way they have. And so this is just incredibly. I could talk. I mean, Cincinnati Trailblazers are back in Division I. You got Benton Bucks up in that top division for the first time. CHSA, you mentioned the 16 under undisputed title. West Michigan, that's huge for them to be up here in the Varsity Boys Division I field. Their varsity girls have become a powerhouse consistently that we expect. Out of these 2 seeds, you got Kansas City East. There's Lions. They have the longest run. I think they have 4 straight years into the Sweet 16. If they could pull this off this year, it won't be easy, but they could pull it off. They're in a position where they could keep that streak and be the longest lasting there. Northside, I think at one time peaked at number 2 in the nation. San Antonio Patriots, you mentioned, won that South Texas district. That is a tough team. It's a tough team there. I remember back in my day, San Antonio was not a team you wanted to play, and I don't play against. I don't know what they play like now, but back then they were hard on the glass. You always just could count on, if you don't box out, you're going to give up a lot of extra points to Coach Pratt and the Feast Patriots at the time. And this year is the first year of the San Antonio Patriots, no longer under the Feast banner. And so we've got Texas Lions, San Antonio Patriots, Mid-South Mustangs that are first year under their own organizational head, whereas the San Antonio Patriots are definitely building off actually the group that started the national championships back in the day, 33 years ago, even though it's our 32nd annual. We have COVID to thank for one less year. The KC Metro Mavericks, Coach Robin Sullivan is still coaching there. And that's when I was a player, he was coaching, to put that in perspective. So that's just absolutely amazing to see. You've got Tyler Heat, another year for the Tyler Heat in Division I. This is, I think, the 3rd straight year. And so that's just amazing. And the Mid-Missouri Mavericks, first trip up to be up in this spot here. So that's phenomenal. We could probably spend another 5 minutes there, but I'm going to go ahead and just keep us moving because we haven't even got out of Tuesday when it comes to the actual schedule. So let's take a quick look at Tuesday. These are the Sweet 16 games, these Tuesday night games. The teams that win, if you lose that Division 1A, 1B game, you are done for the day. So the only teams that are going to be playing Tuesday PM in Division I, boys 16 are going to be, or boys 18 are going to be these teams here that are playing with a trip to the National Elite 8 on the line. I think that's incredibly exciting. 1 of 4 gold balls are also going to be on the line for these teams, staying alive for them. If they win their game on Tuesday, they are playing for a gold ball on Wednesday. That's phenomenal. The Division 1B teams, again, they pick up and they'll start on Wednesday. The winning teams will advance those gold ball games. And then the teams that lose that Tuesday night game, they're going to move to an 8-team bronze ball bracket that will be played out Wednesday through Friday, and will play out 1st through 8th. It is worth noting, as we did already, that there is no reseed. All advancements will be posted on the brackets before the events start, and all 8 of these teams that are playing Tuesday night will also be on the live stream feature court. So this year, varsity boys and girls, Sweet 16 and on for Division I will be covered. As long as you're winning, you're going to be on a broadcast court, a live stream channel, and we're really excited about that. Wednesday, as we call it, Jeremy, Gold Ball
Wednesday.
That's right. And so that's always exciting. The National Elite 8, it's Gold Ball Wednesday, a trip to the National Final Four is on the line. You really can't get much bigger than that. Of course, if it can get bigger, it's coming up the next days. But you got to get to this game for it to get bigger. The 4 teams that lose that game on Wednesday, they've earned a silver ball. That's worth noting. And they will move to the Silver Ball Showdown Series, where they'll have the banner to play for, so that there is a Silver Ball Showdown Series champion banner. And we play 1st through 4th, Thursday and Friday. It's worth noting, we mentioned that because we always get a question from a new team here or there is, do we go home? When do we go home? And you don't go home. You go home after the last game, after Friday. Everyone plays. All 4 of the gold ball games will be broadcast on the NCHBC live stream. All right. And so we're keeping it moving, and now we get a little bit more fun. So everyone knows the 1 seeds. Everybody knows who the 2s and the 3s are. We know who the divisions are. This is kind of a first look at how does this look, and I think this brings up a really excellent point. We don't have classifications by program size. We moved out of that years ago, or a couple years ago. When you're doing pools, it's a little bit hard to do that, but how do we break down the seeding? And I think that's something that's really important. And so I think we're going to go ahead and just talk about that just a little bit, in the sense that the top 4 seeds, those are your regional champions this year. It doesn't always break out that way, in the sense that varsity girls, we have 3 of the regional champions. And the varsity boys, it works out very nicely. We have 4 regional champions. A through D are what we consider the 1A seeds. And the 1A seeds are going to be the teams that will match up. And we will break that down just a little bit further. But the 1B seeds are seeds D, D through E. E through H are the pools 1B. And so we'll break that down a little bit more on what that means and how that plays out. But let's go ahead and kick it to the next slide as we kind of keep going over how this is all going to work. For Division I gold balls, we've covered this. We've covered the no reseeds. We've covered the bronze balls. But now we're playing the National Final Four. These are the biggest games of the season. And both of these games are going to be played at Drury University. The 2 teams that lose will be playing for 3rd place on Friday. And then, of course, Friday, the national finals, the undisputed national championship game. I said if there's any bigger games than the gold ball games on Wednesday, you have to win to be able to stay alive. And here we are. I mean, it really doesn't get any bigger in all of homeschool sports. There isn't a bigger game in all of homeschool sports than the 18U national championship game, whether it's varsity boys or varsity girls. It's where it's at, whether it's Mariah Jefferson, Justin Jackson. These are the players that have come through. These are the games that they've wanted to play in. And, last year we got to see Lily Williams take on Miss Beck and the San Marcos Panthers, and just an absolute classic. And I think Madison Herta was an outstanding player last year, the Maravich Award winner. And so it's going to be great to see these players back. Whether or not they make it to the biggest game on the girls' side or the boys' side, that's to be determined. But the immediately following the varsity boys and girls national finals, we begin the grand finale of Nationals 2024. We're going to have the slam dunk finals, the 3-point finals, the 18U All-American games, the senior send-off and prayer, and all of those will begin after that last 18U game, which is scheduled for 7:30 right now. We're not announcing if it's the boys or the girls that will be playing that grand finale at this moment. We have some things that we're working on, but at this very moment, 7:30 p.m. is the last game time that is scheduled. So as we keep moving here, I'm going to kick this to Paul. We haven't heard from you for a minute, and let's take a quick look at as we see these teams filling out the pools.
So one thing that stood out to me immediately that I kind of love seeing is that there's 4 Missouri teams in these top teams that are there so far. Again, obviously the Nationals takes place in Springfield, so it's great to see the home state representing well on this stage. The other thing that I really like about this as well is these 18U boys have been working their entire careers to get to this point, their entire athletic time frame. So the fact that they're all being live streamed, at this division, some of the other divisions, I really like that because I think it allows them to understand that the work that they put in, the time that they've utilized, it's paying off, and that their loved ones get to see them. It could be their final send off for a lot of these players. I just love the fact that we're streaming so many of these games, and I could imagine that these boys are as well, even if it means they have some 8 a.m.s. I think you take that trade off. But looking at the field, again, we've got 2 of the 3 seeds, 2 of the 3 seeds now in each pool. MHEA is matched with Mid-Missouri Mavericks. We've got Tennessee Heat with San Antonio Patriots, the Lightning and the KC Metro Mavericks, Rush out of Missouri and the Tyler Heat, HEA Firebirds with the KC East Lions, Dash Spartans and the Fort Wayne Hawks, Dallas HSAA and Northside, and then St. Louis Blue Knights and LKY Saints out of Kentucky. So these are going to be the teams that, again, they're not playing each other right off the bat, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit as well. But you could expect, when you're in the same pool with the other team, at some point you're looking at, okay, well, we're going to match up with them. And, we talked about this before we started recording, how many of these teams are pulling film of teams maybe they're not familiar with. That's one of the advantages of having Baller TV is you can go back and you can watch the regional games. You can watch, in ways that you couldn't before. Of course, live stream games at Nationals, you could watch those as well. But you'd be surprised at the preparation that a lot of these teams are putting going into these pool play games. Maybe a little bit secretly, but some teams flat out will tell us, no, we've seen all of these teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned 4 Missouri teams. There's also 4 Texas teams in the top of these brackets. So Big South Midwest is really has a good showing here as well. So it's gonna be exciting to watch. I can't wait for it myself. And as I've told teams in the past, on Monday, if you look at the brackets when you wake up Wednesday morning and your bracket says you're playing on Drury, you can let your family know it's going to be live streamed, and you're going to be on the big stage. So if you can make it to Wednesday where your bracket says Drury University on the schedule, you're going to be, your name's going to be mentioned by either Paul or myself. So you're muted, Paul. You're muted, Rob.
Yep, I was. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, that's really exciting. I feel like when you look at these fields, I mean, there's so many good competitive games. It's hard to really say, there's a huge favorite. Obviously, Memphis Eagles, 3-time defending national champion, looking for a four-peat. They're a big favorite, but aside from MHEA, there isn't that clear runaway favorite. And even MHEA, we saw there whether it's nerves, pressure, that those games were a little tighter than we saw last year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they seemed to be able to put a little bit more of a distance. Not that you have to beat teams by more than 20 points. I mean, even in pools, there's only so much you can advantage. But you mentioned HSA played them for 3 quarters, great battle there. And so I think that we're going to see a lot more potential challengers. On the other hand, they could just show up and play their best basketball yet. And so it's really exciting to see. There's that unknown, but I mean, Dash versus Fort Wayne, HSAA Northside, St. Louis Blue Knights, LKY, HEA Kansas City East. I mean, all of these, every single one of them. I'll mention them all because they're all exciting. Rush, Tyler Heat, HHBA Lightning and KC Metro. HHBA Lightning looking to do what the Central Virginia Patriots did back in 2018 when they had used back-to-back buzzer beaters themselves. Some Virginia magic there to make it all the way to the national Final Four before the Illinois Crusaders knocked them out in 2018. And then you got Tennessee Heat and San Antonio Patriots and MHEA Eagles and Mid-Missouri Mavericks. And so I think that's just I get super excited about that, and even more excited about what we have coming up next. But this next part here, we hinted at it a little bit. The 1 seeds were divided into 1A, where the top 4 overall seeds, and the 1B were 5 through 8. We didn't spend as much time on the 5 through 8 aspect as much as we did just making sure that we had the right 4 teams in that 1B. And the same goes for pools A and D. What we really focused on was making sure that there was a 2B caliber team, which is basically our bottom 2 seeds mixed with our top 1 seeds. And then when seeding our 2 seeds, we made sure that the 2As were also in the 1B pools, which would have been pools E through H. And so that was a really important factor for us, is to be able to make sure that we had a method to the madness, so to speak, of why which teams were in which pools. And so if you look at it and you're like, hey, that team there, 1B, that's 5 through 8, that team should have been here. We didn't split hairs over which team should be in the 5 through 8 as much as we made sure that the right teams were there and that the 2A matchups were also right. And so that was the primary focus. And Jeremy, what was the focus with the 3 seeds?
Unique matchups. Try to make sure we match up and make sure the pools were all had a good variety to them, to where they're not matching up against teams they've already seen in districts or regionals or multiple times throughout the season. The Big South is pretty heavy here, the Midwest. So trying to make sure those 2 regions try to avoid each other as much as possible is what we tried to do. I feel like we did a pretty good job. We'll see how it plays out. But if you look at it, I think for the most part, all the pools, these teams have not seen each other throughout the year in the pools that they're playing in. So it should be a lot of unique matchups. And a lot of teams are going to have to start reaching out, trying to find some film because it's not a team that they've seen this year already. So it's not a common opponent. It's not somebody that, they've seen in districts or regionals. So they're going to have to do some searching. They're going to have to, do some film study. And Paul can attest, in doing all these podcasts, that a lot of these teams, their coaches, they go out and find all the videos and they do the research and they do film study, and they don't just watch them one time. They watch them 1, 2, 3 times. They dissect them. They know what you do. They want to know what defenses you play. They know what offenses you run. And, it's things like that keep some of these teams at the top and keep them coming to D1 every year because they do their homework and they do their study.
It's certainly different from whenever I was playing. We didn't have a lot of film that we could go back and watch, but we would sit in the gym for hours and watch the opponents that we were about to play. But you look at the unique advantage that the advent of Baller TV and the live stream give a lot of these teams. And exactly like you mentioned, Jeremy, the teams that are differentiating themselves through that film study and homework, you're going to see it play out in these pools.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think one of the things that people always want to know is how do you put the pools together? And this concept with the 3 seeds, that we treated them as equals. We placed them into pools based on really focused on primarily on the unique matchups. I think we may have 1 or 2 pools that have a team that has played each other during the year. There were some things we just couldn't do a whole lot about. We had another situation where we have 9 teams from the Big South, 8 pools. And so at the very end, we were like, okay, we got to make sure that there's not 2 teams from the same state in the same pool if we can help it. And so that led to a Texas team that was a 3 seed being moved out of another pool that was with another Texas team in order to be able to help that, because we really are focused on the unique matchups with the 3 seeds. We really have a lot of respect for every single one of those teams that made it there. And so we know that every single one is a tough opponent, and it's going to be a hard draw for whoever they draw. And so we focus on the unique matchups. And again, I want to stress this again. If they were 1B, 5 through 8, really those seeds along with the 2As, we're focused on unique matchups as well there. We're not sitting down and micro. I think we did have a clear number 5, and after that it was 6, 7, and 8 were all about the same, and it became more about matchups and breaking that stuff down. And so that's really important. So 1A seeds were paired with 2B, while 1B seeds were paired with 2A. And then the 3 seeds had complete flexibility in order to keep with unique matchups. And so I think if you can understand that, then you understand a lot there. As far as how those were broken down, I'm gonna kick this over to Paul, because this is actually I'm gonna take this one here. This is not the slide I thought it was. This right here is definitely, when you're advancing out of the pools, we talked about no reseed. All right. And so because there's no reseed, there has to be some stuff established ahead of time. And so you'll notice here that out of the pools, and again, we are in a non-elimination pools. And so out of the pools, teams are going to still, even if they finish 3rd or 2nd, they're going to have an opportunity to advance. And so what you're going to see here is the number 2 seed is going to play the number 3 seed is going to play the winner of. I'm butchering this here. Jeremy, can you jump in here?
Yeah. So with the pools, you're going to have 3 seeds coming out of the pools. You're going to have the pool winners are all going to advance to the Elite 8, or they're going to be advancing to the Division One tournament. So they're going to be playing for the undisputed no matter what. The 2nd and 3rd place teams are going to have to advance to play each other to see who's going to play those 1 seeds. So with that being said, the 3 seed winner of Pool E, runner-up, is going to play the 3rd place.
Here's what's going to happen. Pool E winner, the Pool E runner-up will play Pool F 3rd place. All right. And the winner of that game is going to be the number 3 seed in Class 8A. So if you take kind of a look here, Pool E, I'm going to go ahead and highlight some stuff here. All right. So Pool E runner-up is going to play against the Pool F 3rd place. Right. And those 2 teams, the winner of that is going to take on the number 3 seed in Class 8A's gold ball. All right. And the number 4 seed in 8A is the winner of Pool D runner-up and the Pool C 3rd place. And so you can kind of follow that along. If you're the Pool F runner-up, you're going to play the Pool E 3rd place, and the winner of that game is going to be the 7A gold ball number 3.
Right.
The loser of that game goes to Division 1B. All right. So you're Division 1B if you lose. If you win that game, and so that's kind of how that breakdown takes place. So for the number 4 seed in 7A will be the winner of Pool C runner-up and Pool D 3rd place. In Class 6A, the 3 seed is going to be the winner of Pool G runner-up and Pool H 3rd place. 4 seed in 6A is going to be the winner of Pool B runner-up in the Pool A 3rd place game. And finally, Class 5A's number 3 seed is going to be the winner of Pool H runner-up and Pool G 3rd place, and the 4 seed in Class 5A be the winner of Pool A runner-up and Pool B 3rd place. So again, no reseeds leads to us having to put a little bit more on ahead of time so you can understand. And of course, I got lost for a second here reading this, so I understand if you need a few more seconds if you're watching this to kind of grasp it. So again,
basically, these 8 games are going to be played Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning games, correct.
So these are your Tuesday morning games. After the pools are finished on Monday, then you'll know if you're the pool runner-up or the 3rd place. So therefore, you'll look to here and you'll see who you're going to play as depending on which finish you had. So there's always going to be a runner-up playing in third place, but you will not play a team from your same pool on Tuesday morning.
Right. Yep, that's
and
right.
then the winner of these 8 games will go on to match up against the 8 pool winners from Monday, and that fills out your Sweet 16, and that starts the road to the undisputed national championship Sweet 16.
Yeah, and it's really simple, and I'm sure we've got it here covered, but the Pool A winner goes to Class 8A number 1. The Pool B winner is going to go 7A number 1. The Pool C winner, 6A number 1. The Pool D winner, 5A number 1. The Pool E winner, 5A number 2. The Pool F winner, 6A number 2. The Pool G winner, 7A number 2. And the Pool H winner, 8A number 2. And so those, we've already got that covered here. So you can see right there, 8A, Pool A winner is going to be the 1 seed. So this is already established. This is, and we've laid it out there so teams can know what to expect, and we don't have to rely on a reseed. Now that said, let's get to a little bit more interesting subject here. This is really a significant change. It was significant enough that when we first looked at making the change, we felt the need to touch base with some of the top seeds to make sure that this would not put them in a position where they felt like they were at a disadvantage. And so this is rather exciting, but also a little bit unique in the sense that we mentioned that we're going to be wall-to-wall action, 8 a.m. to 9:15 p.m. start times at our feature courts. Well, that means we're playing the first games of pools at 8, 9, 10:05, and 11:10. And so one of the big things that we're going to do is we're going to have the pools 2 seeds versus 3 seeds open up each pool. And these teams will play the AM games. These are there's going to be 2 8 a.m. games, 2 9 a.m., 2 10:10, or 2:05, 2 11:10. Do not email Jeremy asking for any of those games. He has absolutely no say in that. And so don't expect anything like that. You have no say in that. That's going to be random. We're not going to have any idea who takes those spots until the brackets are out ourselves. And so as far as game 2 goes, that's going to be the pool 1 seeds. And those games are going to start anywhere from, I think, 12:20 to 1:30 to 2:45. And as late as, I think, 4:15 is the last game there. And so it's going to be one of those games. These are early to mid-afternoon games. But this is also another thing that's unique. The pool number 1 seed will play the losing team of the AM game. Okay, so our traditional way of doing pools, we do 1 versus 3, and a 3-team pool would be the first game, and then 2 versus 3, and then 1 versus 2. And if we were doing it all day like this, it would be 8 a.m. for the 1 versus 3 game, and then 9:15 p.m. for the 1 versus 2 game. And so this is going to change it up a little. It's going to be performance-based on who's going to actually play in those final games. I think it absolutely sets up for the best games on Monday night. No matter what, every single one of those 8 games on Monday night are going to have an impact on the pool, whether it's simply winner wins the pool and gets the bye and qualifies for Division One. And yes, we will have the qualified Division One banners at these courts. So teams that on Monday, when they clinch their pool, they'll have that opportunity. Or if they win a big game on Tuesday morning, they'll be able to get the photos. And so these games will be played. That's game 2. Game 3 will be the number 1 seed in the pool versus the winning team of the AM game. These games will be played out. We'll have 4 game times starting at the 5 o'clock hour. They'll be played out. We will be starting 9:15 p.m. games on Monday and Tuesday, possibly Wednesday, but definitely Monday, Tuesday, simply because we're doing 18 and under all day on one court, competitive 18 and under games. And we felt like we needed to build in a little extra time so we don't find ourselves in a spot where we're maybe an hour behind and have no chance to get caught up. Right. So very excited about this change. I think we started making some contacts this afternoon and weren't sure for sure how the response is going to be, but we got great response and felt like it was a worthy change. Some of the top seeds said, well, we don't want an 8 a.m. game. we don't mind the 11 o'clock one. Can you tell us which one we would have? And we don't know. And so an 8 a.m. game, that's tough. And so the number one seeds that we feel like they earn kind of the road that would be more desirable. I'm sure that we could bring coaches, players, and have a debate on which is the better road. And we could be here all day on which way is the better one. But I think in the end, no matter what, we are definitely guaranteed we're going to have better games on Monday night, more interesting Monday night games. And I think that makes for a better tournament. And we were going to have a great hub there at Drury and Ozark High School all day, all these big games. It's going to be exciting. So let's keep it moving. This is always our favorite part is when we actually can release the pools.
Here they are.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned this to you last night, Rob, as we were finalizing these pools. And I haven't mentioned this to Paul yet, but looking at all these pools, I'm gonna go ahead and say I think you and Zach are probably gonna be having to figure out some tiebreakers for those night games. I would imagine at least two of these pools are gonna come down to tiebreakers on Monday night.
Hey, I know what it's like to be in charge of the seating, and of course, any chance I could, I would hedge my bets to make it look like I saw upsets coming. So I'm sure that's what you're doing here. It's just making sure everyone knows that no, I mean you're absolutely right. There's going to be tiebreakers. If there's not, then we'll definitely be promoting that the seating director did his job very well and managed, especially if there's no upsets. But no, for real, the biggest thing about it is when you're doing the seeding, you're not projecting who's going to win. You're trying to get the right teams in the right spots, and a lot of that is unique matchups. Teams don't come to nationals and play in divisions like Division II and Division III. We have 14 states. I think girls varsity has 16 states represented. When you have that flavor, you want to play it, and so we're going to always try to early round games, pools, do our best to try to create some flavor. You'll notice the two Big South teams are in Pool A, MHEA Eagles out of Memphis, the three-time defending undisputed national champion, seeking a four-peat for the first time since the HCYA Warriors, back when Justin Jackson was wearing the Warriors jersey, and Paul was probably still coaching. But there was the CHSA Wolverines out of Houston. So two Big South teams, but they're not Texas. So we managed to avoid having two teams from the same state in the same pool. Not an easy feat, especially with how loaded the Midwest and the Big South are. But it's phenomenal to see. And I'll be completely honest about before we even hit slide 7, I think I noticed something that maybe I would have fixed it if it worked with Jeremy. We would have sat down and tried to go over it and maybe made a correction if it was before the selection show. But once we do the selection show, we're willing to say, hey, we maybe made a mistake. But at this point, we're going to stick with it unless it's something that is like maybe having the number one team in the nation not be the three-time defending champion, something along those lines. But you'll notice that up there in the top right-hand corner, we have upcoming polls for fans to select 2 to 3 of the Drury pools for Monday and for the NCHBC broadcast team. And so then and you'll notice we did say the NCHBC broadcast team will get a selection or two of their own. They're going to be calling the games. We're definitely going to give them a choice on picking a pool, but we're going to give the fans an opportunity. We'll use social media to promote the links to vote on this. But by the time Tuesday comes around, we're going to be promoting heavily these polls. And so if you want to be playing at Drury on Monday and you want to be one of the teams that's set up there, make sure your fans vote. The way this is going to work, and we haven't mentioned this yet, and I can't believe I forgot to, but it may not be exactly like this. It might be, let's say Drury gets pools A, D, G, and H. All right. That's what the fans put on there. That's what the broadcast team wants. Let's say it's those pools. That's just an example. The way that would work is those 4 pools are going to be played. I'll make it even more simple. Pool A through D. So it would be Pool A plays the first game, Pool B the second, Pool C, and then Pool D. That's a 3-game break since Pool A's first game. Then Pool A would come back and play another game and then repeat that. So there would always be a 3-game break. So all the teams are going to have a 3-game break built in no matter what. It won't be in Pool A, B, C, D order necessarily. Again, we're going to have fans voting on it. And so the order of that will be somewhat random, and it could be also made for the best broadcast games for later in the day. So there's an element there that will be taken into a factor. But just understand that if you are on Drury for your first game, you'll be on Drury for all your games. If you're at the Ozark High School for your first game on Monday, you'll finish your day out there. And so there won't be a lot of moving around. We think that will be phenomenal. And then you'll have a 3-game break in between. We think that's also phenomenal as well. We're excited about the possibility of having the voting. Jeremy, Paul, both of you, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. And before I do, I'm going to try to pick one myself. But do you have any pools that just really stand out to you that you're like, now that's a pool that I don't know what's going to happen there, but I definitely want to watch it?
Pool C. I want to see PT, HHBA, and Casey Metro.
Okay, I like that one. That's
the first one that popped out to me was Pool G. I looked at Dallas HSAA, Northside over there with Joey Easton, and West Michigan. They've got a strong program on the girls and boys side. Similarly to what Jeremy said, I have no idea what to expect out of Pool G.
Yeah, I think there's something there. When I look at this, I you know I'm torn. I'm really torn. But I think Pool D. I'm torn between Pool D and B because I'm looking at those and I don't see a weak link there. I mean, I think that and those 2 seeds are dangerous and those 1 seeds are good. And so I think that you're kind of in that spot where I think both of those are really interesting. And so I think that's interesting that 3 of the pools that really caught our eye out of the 5 are pools that are B, C, and D. No, I mean, and E is really fascinating because you got that Houston Raiders team. They're always capable of big games and big wins, and they seem to be in big close games every time. Doesn't matter who they're playing; it seems close. You got Kansas City East, who's been dealing with some injuries. If they're fully healthy, they're going to be which they weren't at regionals. If they are, that's going to be a scary team. And HEA, they were, for all intents and purposes, they were a shot missing away from overtime, and who knows what happens in overtime? Maybe a regional championship. And for HEA last year, they made the Final Four, finished 3rd place in the Midwest, so they were right there anyway. So I like all of these pools. I think probably you find that the least intriguing is probably going to be Pool A, just because you have a team that has been so dominant. And one of the things I love about this is these are non-elimination pools. So that makes it a little bit less, if you draw, let's say, MHGA in your opening pool, that take off some of the steam because you still have an opportunity. On top of that, of course, you have the opportunity to shock the world on Monday, but you also have the opportunity to still have a goal ball route, even if you're in a pool with a team as good as that MHGA.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting, and I'm ready for 12 straight hours of D1 basketball nonstop.
Well, I am too, but I don't want to be a buzzkill, but we got to talk pool tiebreakers. And that seems way less interesting than what we just had. Again, 2 key reminders: no reseed of any sort will take place. Advancements have been announced right now, and they'll be on the brackets as well. Whatever's in the brackets will be way more accurate than what we've done here. But our goal here is to try to explain it as much as possible ahead of time. And then boys 18U Division I pools are seeding pools, not elimination pools. So they're non-elimination pools. But that said, we do have winners of the pools, and that is very important. And we do have the tiebreaker the same tiebreaker we used for regionals, the same tiebreaker we used for districts, the same tiebreaker we voted on coming into nationals last year by the coaches, and they put this in place. So quick rundown: winners determined by the best win-loss record, pool tiebreaker rules, 2 or more teams, sequential tiebreaker rules in order to be used after round robin and pool play if needed. Head-to-head results is step 1. If there's a 2-way tie at any point, If at any other point the following tiebreaker results in a two-way tie, refer back to point number 2. Point differential, 20-point cap per game, least points allowed, points scored, and then of course random chance conducted at NCHC headquarters. This will be videotaped and sent to directors on site. And again, all of those asterisks are there in the case of a three-way tie. In this particular situation, there cannot be a two-way tie. So we're in 3-team pools, so these pools will all be three-way ties if there is a tie. And so these are the tiebreakers. Again, these will be on the homepage of every bracket, but we did need to cover those on this show. We are
Rob,
almost...
I'm just gonna put it out there that I'm really glad that there's people that are a lot smarter than I that are doing the seeding and the tiebreakers, because I was homeschooled, so I don't know what some of these things that we've talked about. So I'm really glad that there's great people behind the scenes that are helping us figure this out.
Well, for all the homeschool moms out there, you'll be proud to know that it was a homeschooler that helped put together all of these. So while there is a homeschooler that was having a hard time following, it was a homeschooler that put it together. Now, if you're having a hard time and you were not homeschooled and you cannot follow it, well, it was a homeschooler that put it together. So give us a little bit of room. But I was homeschooled my whole life, except for I did go to a Christian school for kindergarten in Pennsylvania. But I don't know if that counts. But so
I was not homeschooled.
You know what? That's the one reason I won't pick on anyone too hard. Is because my father wasn't homeschooled and he ran this for years. You were homeschooled, Jeremy, but Paul and I were. Most of the people that work on this stuff were either homeschooled or, in your case, Jeremy, coached or homeschooled your own kids. And so, but brackets will be released Friday, March 8th. Opening game times will be released. They should be released by now if you're watching this, because that's the deadline. If not, you'll probably find a social media post announcing the opening game times for all age groups by the end of today. That said, we did cover very thoroughly the Varsity Boys Division I game times. Everyone should be quite aware after this about Monday and Tuesday's schedule. But just as a reminder, Monday and Tuesday, throughout the day, we will be playing Boys 18 Division I games. This is not our normal. So with that in mind, if you are sharing players with other teams, Monday and Tuesday will be very difficult for you to do a roster your players. So please plan accordingly. Also, if you have coaches that coach multiple teams, be aware that their 18U boys coach needs to be focused on the 18 and under boys team. There may be an opportunity for them to get to a game if they're coaching varsity girls, or they have someone girls 12U that they need that's a coach. But we're not going to be able to make changes to accommodate these. The broadcast and live stream schedules are going to be set, and please be prepared to make adjustments. And the final thing I want to note is that Wednesday and Friday, we really hope that fans will have very little competing with the Varsity Boys games, so they're able to come and cheer their teams on the biggest games of the year, especially in these Division I, Division II games, and hopefully an atmosphere where the noisemakers are permitted and the three-man crews are the best use of them. And so we're really excited about what we've got coming up. Nationals, Division I, every year I feel like a little bit more excited about what we've created or the format. I think this is the absolute most exciting format. It's way gutsier than anything we would normally put together, and that's because the coaches voted on it over the summer. And I think when you have the input from the coaches over the summer, then our job becomes a lot easier. In fact, my number one role with eligibility is to basically enforce that which the rules that the teams want that are attending want enforced. And the same kind of comes in here is we're in a spot where we're able to just come in and work hard within the parameters that people want set. And that makes it a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier.
Yep. We're 1 week away.
1 week away. And then we finally get all of these games. And I think that when we have a situation where the coaches have an idea for what they want to see I'm all for it. Let's see what happens, and then let our role be to find a way to make it happen. And I think that this offseason we'll have a vote. How was this? Can we improve it? Are there improvements that we need to make, or do we want to try to make this stick? And at some point, we will have a consistent format that we use year in and year out. And I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, this has just been a lot of fun to be able to build this one out, and to see the live stream schedule. That was maybe 3 days ago. We finally made that call that we were going to be able to get all these games on Monday and Tuesday, and that was a really exciting moment, when we realized that we were going to be able to. And so we're thrilled. We couldn't be more excited about the broadcast schedule. I know Paul, CJ, Jeremy, Scott Staten. We've got Cody Hirons, Ty Cease, an alumni from last year with the Indy Wildcats is Ty. We've got Jesse and Thomas Sanders coming out. So these I just named, those are our broadcasters, our live stream guys, Josh Jenkins. We're really excited. It's going to be a great group, and we've got all these games on Monday and Tuesday. It's hard to imagine a year that we've had a better setup for great buzz, great games, maybe buzzer beaters, and all the works. And so we can't wait to see what ends up happening, and seeing how these pools actually play out on the court.
Yep. Thanks for watching. See you in a week.